With the latest installment of Raceward's Isle of Man TT3, it is safe to say there has been a step forward, but is it enough to warrant buying their latest installment? Let's find out. In this review, I will give my honest and unbiased feedback on whether Isle of Man 3 is living up to the hype or whether it's done enough to compare to its predecessor. For me, the biggest selling point of a modern day bike game is primarily physics. I'm happy to report that in this year's installment they have made a step forward from their second game. The physics are much more Simcade style but have enough work done behind the scenes to be believable. Also, and probably more importantly, are quite fun. The bike can feel sluggish in change of direction, and you can have some odd crashes on bigger bumps, but for the most part the physics are intuitive and a major selling point for this year's game. Raceward have taken what they've learned from their successful short circuit racer Rims Racing and applied a lot of improvements to this year's title. The physics aren't without their flaws though. Slow speed, the bikes are a bit of a mystery. Getting the bike onto the side of the tyre at low speeds is really a black art. Countless times I've ended up in some poor old woman's garden due to this. The bottom line is, physics are damn good. With some small adjustments throughout its life cycle, we could easily have a very enjoyable game on our hands. The racing genre has set a high bar in recent times for graphics. Once again, Raceward has produced a quite beautiful game at times. From racing through the fast and flowing mountain section to some of the more foliage dense areas, this game can really look stunning but comes at a hefty cost for most. For the older generation consoles, they have been noted for having less than spectacular visuals as well as some poor optimization too. Like every modern day release, it's not without its flaws. From riders having a black neck texture to textures flickering in the distance. It is safe to say Raceward could do with a patch to fix these bugs as they can break the immersion of riding a 250 horsepower beast around the most famous track of all. This is where my issues begin with this year's game. My RTX 3060 runs the game on average at 90 FPS, but it's fairly common to get some stuttering on screen and it appears to be happening at the same corner every lap. My online sessions have been littered with game crashes and hosts disconnecting. The netcode at launch, simply put, doesn't cut it for what the game is trying to sell you. Riders going invisible, pinging around the track, results not being counted are just a few of the many issues with the online package so far. It has been widely reported that the lesser consoles and PCs out there are after getting the short end of the stick with all these issues much more present. There is no excuse why in the coming weeks a lot of these issues should be eradicated with some updates. Again, in the content section we are a little on the lean side. The fictional road racing in its neighbouring Republic of Ireland are now sadly gone. There are 8 tracks in the game at launch, the full TT circuit and 7 smaller circuits. As it is the official TT game, it's not going to include much else other than what's on the box. Maybe going forward, Raceward might want to try and get another license such as the Norwest 200. Developing the game into a road racing specialist instead of limiting themselves to the TT could be a major selling point. If you're looking for a rookie to hero career mode, you'll be disappointed. In this year's game, career mode is simply a season mode, where you pick either Super Sport or Superbike and you do 8 qualifying events, then a full TT. Like all modern day racing games, there's an esports mode too, as well as a leaderboard to track your best times around the island. Once again, online unfortunately is pretty basic, but that is to be expected with modern day racing games. If you have played the previous 2 Isle of Man TT games, this year's title isn't a huge step from there. Yes, there is improvements across the board, but because of the nature of the game, it still has its base feeling. If you're new to the series, I would highly recommend picking up Isle of Man TT3. But if you're a seasoned veteran on the road racing scene, I probably will wait till the game comes out in sales. Overall, TT3 is an improvement in all aspects, but yet some aspects look like they've been ignored more than others. Unfortunately, small issues in games stop it from being what could be a very enjoyable bike game. In the future, with some updates, I can imagine this will be a very popular game in the coming weeks and months. My verdict, 7 out of 10. Solid, but just lacking in some critical areas.